Ndị be anyị ekenekwanụ m unu ọzọ n'ụbọchị nke taata bụ ọbani 29 of October 2023. Anyị sị na ya duru niile na mma ụmụ Igbo ka unu si wee na-esoro anyị na-eme n'iru akwụkwọ a na Eastern News 24. Anyị sịkwana unu ya dịka echi na echi ada agwụ agwụ, otu anyị kwuru otu a ka ọ ya dịrịrị. Ise ise ise. Dịka o si dị, anyị wetakwala unu ihe anyị na-akpọ evening tea ka anyị na-akpọ ya n'ọnụ oyibo. Ya bụ ihe si from the Biafran Prime Minister of Biafran Republic Government in Exile, nke bụ onye isi bụ Maazị Simon Ekpa. Were ife okwu n'iru akwụkwọ anyị si ka wetara unu. Anyị gwara unu ka na anyị ga-ewetara unu update ọbụla bụ ife na-ekwu gbasara maka ife na-eme n'ala Igbo and ka Igbo ga-esi dị na mma. Onye ka anyị wetara unu n'oge ugbu a, so unu ga-esi ya bụ ife unu drop kwa comment unu on the comment section below. Once again, echefuna na ihe abụkwa Eastern News 24 ka anyị si na-wetara nnukwu ozi a dị oke mkpa. Alright, over to you, sir.
Certain segment of society were comfortable with Buhari catastrophic humanitarian disaster and senseless loss of life. Throughout the administration, there was no coherent and sustained voice that asked the president to resign, which understandably was linked to Nigeria ethnic politics. Even though Buhari was a terrible president for the generality of Nigeria, he executed the Fulani agenda without question. Yet, people talk about one Nigeria. No country will be one without inclusion, equity, and justice. The worst part of it is that when this issue is being discussed, you don't see any representative of Biafra in the table. Unleashing your military on the people you are supposed to protect instead of engaging on dialogue and making sustained efforts to address grievances has the opposite effect. You cannot claim one Nigeria while at the same time exclude segment of the country from the benefit of belonging to the same country. When you choose marginalization as a tool, you have wittingly and unwittingly signed up to fail. Olusegun Obasanjo has not always been pro-Igbo. In his first administration as civilian head of state, 1999 to 2003, he played the marginalization game against the Igbo and chose Andy Uba to play the role Loretta Onochie played for Buhari today. As an assistant to the president, these people would readily spit at agitation for Igbo interests. And Andy Uba was the tool used against Wazirike. But all that changed in Obasanjo's second term. He headed to Gani Fawemi admonition that Obasanjo could not be serious with development, with his continual marginalization of the Igbo, despite their creativity and industry. Subsequently, Obasanjo appointed Charles Soludo and Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as the governor of the Central Bank and Minister of Finance, respectively. Both esteemed Igbo son and daughter were instrumental to economic policies and reform that ultimately qualified and end Nigeria debt forgiveness tools, fed up much needed fund for development. The reason these people are not supporting Biafra today, which they will never support and we're not expecting them, is because they are corrupt. Many of us living abroad have seen that many countries that have embraced equity and justice are doing well. United States of America, Russia, Australia, and China are some of the countries with intimidating mix of talent and natural resources, which they have deployed to Israel, New Zealand, and the EU countries. Having natural resources endowment give additional tools in your toolkit. And this is the reason out the next day. By the way, that is the Minister of Urban Development. I want you all to understand that my speech may be long, but it is worth listening to. The United Arab Emirates, UAE, provide a classic example of the role of abundance of natural resources in development. We will beat them hands down. UAE, for example, provide an inevitable case of leaders with desire to serve the people. And this is what the Biafra Republic government in exile has demonstrated. Within a very short period of time, because of the leaders we have, despite abundant natural and human resources, Nigeria continued to struggle, continued to go into debt, because it was never the idea of the founders to have a developed Nigeria. Nigeria is not meant for progress. Now it is our duty to even crash it the more. The only agenda we have now is to crash the economy, to crash the security apparatus, to crash everything of called Nigeria within Biafra territory. By the majority vote and by the majority of Biafra people, we can see today from our seat at home, we have overwhelmed Nigeria within Biafra land. After this successful Finland Convention, where a lot of things will start happening in minutes after this reading this speech. The foundation of Biafra freedom will start any moment from now. Because we are going to adopt a historic charter that will set the pace for our freedom. Despite claims of one Nigeria, there is rarely a national agenda that is not ethnically engineered by the ethnic group in power to surcharge other ethnic groups. Having cattle roaming the highway, low waste township, villages, farmland, and destroying people's livelihood, and the worst of all, killing the people if they complain, is beyond imagination and definitely at variance with equity, justice, fairness, and building a united, prosperous country. I want you to understand that nobody else will come for your aid. We have learned to come for our own aid. There is nothing in this world like knowing your right. I know this right and I'm using it judiciously. The concept of equity, that equity and justice is said to prevail when you have a system that works. Everyone, regardless of who they are, but very often that is not the case. So you have the oppressed imposed by the oppressors. When the oppressed come to realization of gross injustice meted out to them and are willing to begin. Of course, in Nigeria own, you need hammer. And the hammer is, we are going to drop the hammer and take chest. What is that big stuff? If Hope Uzodinma is watching me now, because I know he's watching. If he's watching me now, tell him that after this particular convention, we are dropping hammer. And what we're going to, who is going to tell me the name of this big? Anyi, right? Thank you. The oppressors acknowledge injustice, intentional or not, and are willing to negotiate for remedies to address injustices, usually through reform and instrument of law. But in Nigeria, it is not possible. Else, oppressed people demand for right and privilege, and the refusal of violation would lead to violent confrontation. This is the route the Nigerian government has chosen. The route of killing and destruction as mechanism to stop the agitation. It can never stop us. No amount of weapon will stop this particular liberation of Biafra. Alternative, the agitation or the liberation of Biafra is to continue to live under the status quo, right, and basic amenities. As we can see, every Biafran right is being deprived, from Mazenamdi Kanu down to the lowest. And I ask, for how long will this continue? You see our elders going to Abuja to beg. You see our so-called Igwes going to the north to kneel down for a caliphate king. This is breaking my heart. Our elders has disgraced us to the highest. But we are getting the integrity back. The might of Biafra and the value that God created you with is coming back. We Biafra people must fight for our freedom. Mental and structural, economic and political enslavement in our homeland is not an option. Our forefathers in Biafra land did not banquet onto a despondent society. The present day politicians cannot force one onto us. That's why we are bringing Biafra from diaspora. When I told them we are going to bring Biafra from diaspora, they doubted me. But I want to tell you one thing. We are going to have self-referendum in Biafra land. Every one of you in diaspora will partake in the voting. And after that, we will declare Biafra and defend it. in this part is for them to understand that we have used every mechanism available to man, including the armed struggle and the political and diplomatic means. It covers all. So you don't say we did not try the peaceful way. It is happening. The USA rebelled against the British colonists and eventually fought a war. April 19, 1783. I want you to check how many years was that. To free themselves from paying tax that were not spent on their well-being. Just exactly what is happening to Biafra people today in Nigeria. You are the source of the GDP of Nigeria, but they don't spend it on you. You have no hospital, you have your own electricity, you pay for your own security, you pay for your own water, you build your own road, you build everything, yet you pay to Nigeria and nothing for it. These men, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and their compatriot gathered together, fought through their opportunity and challenged and crafted September 1787. Statements that were intended to advance mankind in the next. That particular thing is replicating itself in Biafra today. When I mean today, I mean in this hall today. Because it was deeply thought out intention to advance humanity. After over 200 years, it is still the Constitution. It has undergone several amendments, many of which in response to agitation. More just, more inclusive, compared that with how many constitutions the zoo has had in its 60 years plus, short life. Ironically, none of the zoo constitution come close to the noble goal of advancing humanity. They changed the name to Constitution. Rather, a shameless charade aimed at subjugating the people by favor ethnic Fulani. Where Fulani has no resources, Biafra has resources, and they have it in exclusive list. You can't utilize it. They take it from you. They become the MD of Nigeria Petroleum Corporation. They lead and head every department using the oil and the natural resources from your land. I was watching a Ebonyi State governor who was as a sort of the nation. He doesn't know. He said, it is Abuja people that knows how much they make in the salt. Because it is in exclusive list. Fulani doesn't have land to know if they have the salt, they are going to remove it from the exclusive list. Yet,
maka na ọkwa na ife anyị kwere nkwa ka anyị na-eme n'iru akwụkwọ a anyị kwere nkwa na anyị gana drop unu ya bụ update and some part of a clip of onye ndu Maazị Nnamdi Kanu for the remembrance ka o ji nọ na since ọ nọ na prison ọkwa na ya ka anyị na-eme anyị ma na old brokers mana ọ wụ ife ọ na-akụ ya n'ime ihe ndị niile ọ kwugasị o mesigo tọsụ ife fọrọ bụ ọ sị na the last Biafra wee march kuna wata so no ya bụ ka ife nwere ike ikwu gbasara maka ya bụ ife nọ n'akwụkwọ ife nọ n'iru akwụkwọ the Biafra leader bụ Maazị Nnamdi Kanu kwuru ka ife nwere ike ikwu gbasara maka ya bụ ife dropụra ya on the comment below. Echefukara na ya bụkwa Eastern News 24 ka anyị si na-ewetara nnukwu ozi a dị oke mkpa. Daalụ n'ụmụnne m, ngwa nke mesịa.